it up somehow.
Oh yes, my Straight Talk family, you hear that soundbite, you hear that theme song, rather, and you know it is time for me to bid you a very pleasant night wherever you are, in St. Kitts and Nevis, and wherever you are throughout the entire Caribbean region. It's time for me to welcome you to another edition of Straight Talk, and of course we are streaming all over the world. We are on the World Wide Web, and we are saying a very special night to our Kittitian and Nevisian diaspora. Wherever you are, I know that some of you are in Asia, there's some of you in Africa, there are some of you in Europe, and a whole lot of you are all over North America. So I am at liberty, and I will say good night. I can say good morning, and I will also say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And if you are joining me for the first time, and those of you who are regular, I actually just share the link to your friends, your family, wherever they are in the world, so we can really get everybody on board. You know, some people are trying to suppress the freedom of expression, so we have to use our own capacity to ensure that we counter that suppression by spreading the link. Straight Talk with Ian Patches Library. We are on Facebook and we are on YouTube. But for the first time, Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free expression on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express ourselves freely. Let us, in the process, I'm begging them, urging them to let us try to see if you can get St. Kitts back into that enviable position of being one of the freest countries, if not the freest country in the entire world. On this program, we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. My name is Ian Patches Library, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And my Straight Talk family, we normally deal with our observations in review on each program, and I know many of you look forward to that, because we try to keep them honest. We haven't spoken about the Christopher Harbour matter for a long time, and we are not going to brush that under the carpet. We have not spoken about the airport development in Nevis for some time, but those are some observations that we will get back to when we do our reflection. And we'll continue to ask questions, such as what was accomplished, How has it helped others? What has changed since? And what can be expected next? Also, what new have we learned as a people? And that's very important because it's a continuous or continuing learning process. So we want to ensure that our programs stay in the educational mode, I will call it. We're not just here to bash anybody. We are here to tell you the gospel truth. So, and we trust that you will learn from the truth. Sometimes, though, when you speak the truth, you must be prepared to stand alone. Be like a lion. A lion stands alone. Sheep, they move in flocks. But our first observation in review, my Straight Talk family, reflects on Monday last episode on Monday. We made mention of the double murder in Stapleton Village on St. Kitts, and the fact that no comment whatsoever was made by the area representative and I should say elected representative to be certain, who's also the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security. Today in his press conference, though, I believe the general feedback you'll get from everyone is that it's somewhat of a disappointment. Because, you see, my Straight Talk family, when asked questions, and I found it very strange as well today, and I like to keep up to date, so I listened to the press conference, that after opening the floor, so to speak, to the media, or representatives of the media, and that was done, and as the press conference was about to wrap up, every member of the cabinet present were asked to give an update on the various ministries or subjects with which they have responsibility. And I found that very strange. But today in his press conference, the Prime Minister disappointed the country one more time with his absurd comment about the police's method of crime fighting. And that has left everyone baffled when the Prime Minister made this comment.
Today, I want to deal frontally with the issue of national security. I also wish to specifically address the issue of violent crimes, particularly those involving firearms and resulting in fatality. Inquiry has shown that these are linked to gang violence. And of course, we know we had an unsustainable crime fighting method which has to be upgraded and has to be such that it is sustainable and effective. Your government, along with the security forces, meaning the police, the military, customs, and others, are working assiduously to bring what we consider to be real calm to you, the citizens, as we strive to eradicate this scourge from our society. You deserve nothing less, and today we commit that your government will endeavor to work with others to achieve this.
My Straight Talk family, under the Jew administration, while he is taking, or his cabinet I should say, is taking forever to roll out the quote-unquote enhanced peace program or alternative pathway program, as it's officially called, I think. And I understand that the The name has been changed to Alternative Lifestyle Program. Whatever that means, we don't know. But sadly, while we are waiting for that rollout, there has been 15 homicides since Prime Minister Jew took office. Since Prime Minister Jew took office, there have been some 15 homicides. And to date, as I said, he has not rolled out his crime fighting plan in 8 months. In the last 3 months, there were or have been some 7 homicides, and his first 4 months, there were 8. Meantime, he has deliberately failed to meet with his national security advisor. And Straight Talk has learned as well that Prime Minister Jew has not responded to any communication whatsoever from Major Saunders. For that reason, it was refreshing to see the National Security Advisor sitting next to the Prime Minister, along with the High Command of the security forces on Tuesday last. But if the Prime Minister do not want the service of the National Security Advisor, then pay out the man, pay out his contract, which I believe ends in June, and let him go. Because you've made mention already about getting your own consultants. Prime Minister Jew, you're taking too long to learn and to understand that government is continuous. Now, under the Jew Labour administration, our communities have become less safe in short order. In 7 months under Jew, the country has experienced, as I said, 15 homicides. With the coming of Dr. Jew's peace and security are under threat, because his actions seem intent on growing political divisions and hate amongst our people. Get rid of them was his campaign slogan that he still lives by today. Even he should be in government and in a different governing mode, he still seemed to be in the campaign mode and driving the car in the rearview mirror. Many are now asking, is crime a labor thing? They are asking that question because the recent spike in murders has brought back frightening memories under the Douglas Labour administration. Remember, we had 366 murders under Douglas. The truth is, though, that the Jew Labour administration is always missing in action, and still is missing in action as crime surges in the Federation. There was a double homicide I made mention of earlier in his constituency, and yet not one word from Dr. Jew in respect of those 2 young men who were slaughtered and their families. But failing to accept that government is continuous, Prime Minister Jew stopped construction of the solar farm. He stopped the PAP, and he's now struggling to get it back on a quote-unquote temporal basis, on a 6 months basis. We understand they have planned to introduce food stamps. As one old man said to me, what if I want to buy a pair of shoes? Must I walk barefooted? Give me my $500 which you stop. That elder said to me to say to Jew. He stopped STEP, and he stopped the peace program. And my Straight Talk family, do not be fooled. These programs that he claimed are unsustainable. STEP was introduced by the Labour administration. It was PEP. You remember the famous minister and my parliamentary representative, Jeffrey Hanley, famous PEP manager. And when we got there and saw the 7,000 persons on PEP, what do you think that Team Unity should have done? Sent home all of them? No. Every government has a social responsibility to its people. But my Straight Talk family, that for now is my observation, my first observation in review. And we are bothered. We are waiting for Prime Minister Ju to roll out his crime-fighting plan. He has only had 7 months. Check it well. 15 homicides. And we're not rejoicing. We are just making him aware of the data. Our second observation tonight relates to what everyone is calling the embattled Attorney General, Garth Lucian Wilkin. And he posted on his Facebook today that he's in Washington. And above else, of all the people he could have met, he posted with a Ukrainian. Perhaps he's going there to fight or help them fight the war. But he has his own war to fight here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And he better come back because the people want to hear from him in relation to the issues that face him and his party in respect to the transgression of the law. The issue of the embattled Attorney General continues to dominate the airwaves, and the Prime Minister has only helped to fan the disgust of so many right-thinking citizens with his non-answer to a pertinent question today. This is the question.
Months ago, while addressing the peace program, you said that social security was paid on their behalf, and the government then would have broken the law. With that being said, the Attorney General, Mr. Wilkin, has been embroiled in an issue of not paying social security, or delayed paying social security on multiple occasions for one of his employees. Would you agree that the Attorney General broke the law on those occasions? And if so, does he owe the country an apology, and does he have the moral authority to be the government's chief legal officer?
A very pertinent, and I would admit loaded question. The answer from the Prime Minister was rather pathetic, to say the least, my Straight Talk family, is what he said.
I used to run my medical practice, and sometimes I was late. And you know what I put in place? I told my secretary, look, I am so busy sometimes. Can you please be responsible for doing it and bring it back the receipt for me? That is not the deliberate action to determine that she should not be registered. So we are dealing with two different things here. And if you have somebody working and don't want to register them, you understand where that is. But if you have somebody registered and you are late for whatever reason, then I think Social Security, I have said to Social Security, get an alert. Send an alert. Say, look, remember, I know you're busy, but remember. And when you are reminded, you should go and put a thing, you should put something in place as well to make sure that you can also remind yourself. So these are two different scenarios. And we are moving to get the persons on the program duly registered with Social Security. All right, so I know the Attorney General himself would have spoken to the matter, and he would have addressed the matter, and I think there would be an opportunity when he would be before the press again to answer any question with respect to that. So I want to thank you very much for that question.
When we asked, did the Attorney General address the matter? Prime Minister Drew, the question was clear. Do you believe that the Attorney General broke the law? Very straightforward question. You know, Mr. Wilkin should apologize for what happened. That's my view. Mr. Wilkin should disclose whenever he comes to the media to address the matter. He should disclose that he failed to pay Social Security benefits for 15 months on one occasion, on another occasion for 5 months, and another for 3 or 4 months. He paid in April 2021, after being elected on the 31st of March 2021 as president of the St. Kitts Nevis Bar Association. Then he paid on August the 12th, 2022, 15 months thereafter, and the day before he was sworn in as Attorney General and Minister of Justice and Legal Affairs. And on January 2023, when the CBI dividend was paid, we understand his nanny went to inquire. He was then paid on January 2023. And all of that is contrary to the law. Contrary to the law, Prime Minister. And the question is asked, do you believe that your Attorney General broke the law? My Straight Talk family. And that's a straightforward, simple question. But some of his minions are trying to make it a simple matter of saying, oh, he paid the fine. One said this.
I would agree that the optics are bad for the Attorney General. Okay? Nobody likes a situation where it's do as I say and not as I do. Okay? And you get that coming through from the callers. It also reminds me of what is happening in Britain at the moment with ex-Prime Minister Boris Johnson being put right to the coals for having a party during, or being participant in a party during COVID when it was banned. Mm-hmm. One may say that that's a storm in a teacup. That's a minor issue, but it's the principle of the thing as it's seen in Britain. At the very least, he should have known better. Mm-hmm. That's a fair point.
My Straight Talk family, he paid the fine. But what? Mr. Garth Lucian Wilkin, what he did was to expose himself to criminal action. And instead of making excuses for Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin, this is something that should be told to everybody. That if you don't pay your Social Security benefits, you are liable to be prosecuted. What alert? you hold yourself up for that possibility. And I like this lady who was straightforward and to the point when she said this.
It's a legal matter. He broke the law. And do we realize what would have happened had that lady gotten sick and go to seek social assistance? How could that be right? I don't understand what personal matter he's talking about. It is a legal matter, and I expect the Prime Minister to approach and speak about the matter. It is a matter that has to do with social security. That woman's right was infringed on because she can't go to social security now to get any kind of benefit. And that's not right. And it's somebody who could afford to pay. It's somebody who doesn't have to go under the payments. He has persons in office that he can just say, listen, make the social security payment. You lapsed once, you lapsed twice, you lapsed 3 times. Are you telling me this gentleman has any intention of paying that social security consistently? This is the Attorney General. If he's breaking the law continually, how is he going to correct persons who are breaking the law?
And these are pertinent questions. Objective thinking citizens are saying this, my Straight Dog family. Simple and straightforward.
This thing with the AG does not look good, does not sound good, and the way he came in as a man to reform, he simply need to go home this weekend, think about it, and out the door he gotta go.
And that's reasonable, because there can really be no excuse for our chief or principal legal advisor to the government for breaking the law. No excuse whatsoever, my Straight Dog family.
Matter concerning the AG, the reason why it's not going away, you have to recognize that Mr. Wilkin was the president of the Bar Association. Mr. Wilkin is now the Attorney General. Our Prime Minister is the Minister of Social Security, which is very big with the government, as you know. Government has a major say in Social Security. These are the things that are hampering, in addition to the report. I read the report or the judgment from the court, and the judgment is very damning for somebody of that caliber, and that is why it is creating a problem in people's minds, and those of us who decide to speak on it, because we have guts. That is those are the reasons why you see it's creating a problem. So let us don't run away from it. I don't know what the final decision will be from a government standpoint, but it doesn't look good, because you have to recognize every time Mr. Wilkin will try to address matters going forward, even legitimately, this is going to dog him. It's like when somebody knows something about you and it's not good. Every time, they see you and you try to say something about another matter, they'll talk about you. It's the same thing. And in our society, that is very commonplace. So it's going to be a very tough one for the next 5 years.
Damning judgment. And you ask the question, why is the Social Security in-house lawyer Leon Charles taking some employers to court and not others like Garth Lucian Wilkin? That is downright discrimination against the 54 employers who are presently before the court. Why not Garth Lucian Wilkin and make it 55? The law is clear, very clear, and it reads, and I quote, any insured person or employer who fails to pay at or within the time prescribed for the purpose any contribution which he or she is liable under this act to pay shall, there's no option, no discretion, it says shall, for each such failure be liable on summary conviction to a fine not exceeding $200 or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months or to both. And in addition, shall underline shall, there's no option, Mr. Charles, shall incur a penalty not exceeding $100 and not less than $20 for every day during which such failure continues beyond 6 months. And ironically, the Social Security Board brought in a consultant from, I think it was the Turks and Caicos Islands, as part of their 45th anniversary celebration in terms of its transformation. One Walter Gardner, who tutored the compliance department, and he said this.
Good morning, my name is Walter Gardner. I'm a consultant, project manager for the Turks and Caicos Islands Social Security Scheme. I'm here in the beautiful island of St. Kitts and Nevis, conducting some training for the compliance and inspectorate department, so I'm here for 2 weeks. The secret to Social Security success is that we all contribute. Everyone contributes in a timely manner in order for Social Security to be sustainable. All employers ensure that you pay the contributions for your employees on time, because not to do so is a criminal offense.
A criminal offense. Someone doesn't have to come from the Turks and Caicos Islands to tell us that. Someone does not have to come from the Turks and Caicos Islands to tell us that to be able to provide the benefits paid by the fund, the Social Security Board depends upon the contributions of employers, employed persons, and self-employed persons. The benefits which were introduced, we know them: age benefit, sickness benefit, maternity, funeral or death, invalidity, and survivors benefits. But how would Social Security pay those benefits if the employers like Garth Lucien Wilkin is not making his contributions? Over the past 45 years, beg your pardon, the Social Security Fund has become a substantial source of savings in St. Kitts and Nevis, which continues to be of help to individual insured persons and their families. On a national scale, this source of savings has, to a very great extent, reinforced the financial strength and stability of St. Kitts and Nevis. So instead of apologizing for breaking the law and then submitting his resignation, Garth Lucien Wilkin is trying to hold on to his office and gives us some lecture about paying in advance. But if the AG is paying in advance, what is he doing? Is he promoting fraud? Payments in advance? Technically, if an employer seeks to pay contributions in advance, that employer would, in essence, be making a false statement. You simply cannot make such a fictitious declaration. The forms used to pay contributions by employers is a serious declaration which states that for the previous month, a particular number of employees worked and was or were paid a specific wage or salary. The only advance payments that were and are accepted by Social Security, as I have confirmed, are payments from self-employed persons, not employers. Not at all. Not employers, my Straight Talk family. The Attorney General, Garth Lucien Wilkin, must go. It is totally against the Social Security Act for any employer to pay contributions in advance for any worker. That is fraud. AG Garth Wilkin said he will begin to pay his nanny Social Security contributions in advance. What he's saying He is publicly telling us he plans to commit fraud by lying on the Social Security form, by saying his nanny worked when in fact she did not work. So AG Garth Lucian Wilkin, do you plan to go to Social Security and pay contributions for May and June, even though your nanny didn't work? Such action is blatant and it is fraudulent, I should say. But those are my observations and review, my Straight Talk family, and I move quickly into my thesis for tonight, which I did not mention at introduction, and I beg to apologize. But my dissertation tonight, I have entitled 30,000 to 37,000 monkeys. But how many passports? My Straight Dog family. 30 to 37,000 monkeys on St. Kitts. But how many passports are out there under the CBI program? And I want to say tonight, without any diplomacy, that our Prime Minister, according to my grandmother, she would say, he lies like when a horse is trotting. He sends the reporters elsewhere for information when, as the minister with responsibility for national security and immigration and citizenship, he has a constitutional obligation to generally supervise and control those departments. Now, there's a company called the Canadian Banknote Company, CBNC, which is a Canadian security printing company. It is best known for holding the contract with the Bank of Canada to supply it with Canada's banknotes, and it has been doing so since 1935, according to my research. The company's other clients include private businesses, national and subnational governments, central banks, and postal services from around the world. In addition to banknotes, the company produces passports, driver's licenses, birth certificates, postage stamps, coupons, and many other security-conscious document-related products. It also prints and provides document reading systems. Now, since 2014, the Canadian Banknote Company has been the chief provider for machine-readable passports used within the Caribbean Community Bloc of countries, CARICOM. The majority of the new CARICOM passports, as they are called, serve the Union as a centerpiece of promoting easy travel within the Caribbean Single Market and Economy, CSME. As a matter of fact, an item posted on the SKNIS, I should say a news item, posted on the SKNIS website dated December 10th, 2014, under the caption, Canadian Banknote Company assures highest passport quality. And again, dated at Basseterre, St. Kitts, on December 10th, 2014. And it reads, trusted supplier of secure travel documents and issuing systems, the Canadian banknote CBN company, has assured that the quality of the St. Kitts and Nevis passports will continue to meet the highest international standards. CBN, which has been collaborating with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis since 2005, is the company hired by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as 11 of the 15 CARICOM member states, to produce their passports. CBN Business Development Manager Andrew Popp guaranteed that the St. Kitts and Nevis passport was on par with travel documents issued by North American countries. And he's quoted as saying, "The passports have always adhered to the international standards, and we continue to work with St. Kitts and Nevis in reviewing the security features of the book on an ongoing basis in order to ensure that they continue to comply and be internationally recognized and accepted," the CBN official stated. Mr. Popp explained that his company assisted the Federation with the change from the machine readable passport to the electronic passport or e-passport in 2010. And we remember the days with the birthplace field or whatever it's called. But he elaborated that the security features in the St. Kitts and Nevis e-passport are similar to those found on a banknote. So we have established that Canadian banknote CBN has had a relationship with St. Kitts and Nevis since 2005, for 17 going on 18 years. But Prime Minister Joe has the propensity to lie, and he did so this morning, just like a horse was trotting, as my grandmother would say. And I'm going to prove that tonight, my Straight Dog family. I've proved it before, I'll prove it again. The Prime Minister was asked this question this morning, and he went to in his usual mode of lying. And that has become the hallmark of our Prime Minister. He is economic with the truth. But I believe he has gone beyond that, my Straight Dog family, and he's beyond being economic with the truth. He is just a practical, pathological liar. And I say so respectfully, and I have no other recourse but to say that, my Straight Dog family. He was asked this question this morning.
We have come to recognize that there was a program in place that had not been fully built.
I'm sorry about that, my Straight Dog family. I have to get this wound up. Forgive me for that. I want to make sure that I give you the evidence. Whenever I speak, I want to provide you with the evidence, my Straight Dog family. This is the question he was asked this morning.
Good morning, Lashawn Dixon, St. Kitts Nevis Observer. Mr. Prime Minister, when you first got elected, you promised that your admin would implement principles of good governance, integrity in public life, transparency, and accountability. Since November, the Observer had been asking about the number of passports issued to date under the CBI program and the certificates of registration you signed since taking office. We have been informed that over 30,000 passports have been sold under the CPI in total. This will concern the population of 55,000 here in St. Kitts and Nevis. What is your response to these claims?
This was the response from a prime minister who continues to be economic with the truth, to use diplomatic language?
Right. Thank you very much for your questions. As you know, with respect to the CBI, and you have mentioned some numbers, you would have been paying attention to the fact that the CBI has gone through significant changes with respect to the legislation that governs it, and also, or at least, I would say, the regulations. And at least you would have also recognized that that was in transformation. The other thing that you would recognize is that there was a change in the leadership and CEO at the Citizenship by Investment Unit. And one would expect that while you're in transition, changing laws, regulations, and so forth, that of course would have its own delay in certain things. And so now you have a CEO there in place, and you as a member of the media, a member of the public, now have the opportunity to really approach and seek as a journalist the answers to the questions that you seek. So you can get those specific ones. As I told you, that will be available, and so that you can ask those relevant questions.
My Straight Talk family, the lies that keep coming from the mouth of Prime Minister Drew have become extremely distasteful and are so unacceptable that I cannot use diplomatic language anymore. I cannot use such language any longer, because his lying ways remind me of that song by Burning Spear. And the Prime Minister claims that he loves reggae, and I believe he must know this song.
I and I all I know, I and I all I say, I and I read and see them, I and I see up with the God. Christopher Colombo, Caesar, Jack Plastic Lion. Christopher Colombo, Caesar, Jack Plastic Lion. And yes, Jack, he's a liar.
I couldn't help but have Bonnie Wheeler describe the performance of our Prime Minister this morning. And as I said, my grandmother would say, he lied this morning like when a horse was trotting. And it seemed to be a labor thing, because in 2013, Prime Minister Douglas lied to Serpent on Observer Radio in Antigua about the passport sold under the CBI. And this is what Douglas said back then.
How many passports have been issued so far by St. Kitts Nevis via the Citizenship by Investment program?
The program has been in existence, as I said now, for just about 30 years. And the last records that I had, maybe you did not even have 1,000 householders receiving citizenship.
Imagine that. When we got into office as a team unity administration, having made noise for that information while in opposition, I convinced Prime Minister Harris to do the right thing. And he finally did so in 2018. And he said this. And he said 1,000. By 2018, these were the figures.
Last time I had reported that under the program we were advised by the Canadian banknote, who manages our passport, that 10,777 had been issued at the end of December 2015, and we have the revised information from the banknote, which says that up to 2015, really, the figure should have been 12,496. And the total number of CBI passports now issued stands at 16,544.
My Straight Talk family, if you listen carefully, you would have observed that Prime Minister Harris spoke about the Canadian banknote, who manages our passports, and that's the interesting point. The Canadian banknote prints our passport and manages the movements of these passports. As a matter of fact, and Prime Minister Joe cannot deny, I repeat that, Prime Minister Joe cannot deny that the Canadian banknote generates and sends a report to the Permanent Secretary in National Security every single month of the year, and has been doing so since 2005. The Permanent Secretary in National Security has online access to the Canadian banknote, who we pay as a government millions of dollars each year as per their existing contract. Prime Minister Drew must therefore stop lying, because if Minister Samal can tell us that there are 30,000 monkeys on St. Kitts, if Minister Samal can tell us there are 30,000 monkeys on St. Kitts, my Straight Dog family, and my senator and friend, Dr. Clark, can tell us the figure is 37,000 monkeys, then as Minister of National Security and Immigration, and as Minister with responsibility for citizenship, Prime Minister Drew, you are the custodian of the passport figures. How on earth a CEO from CIU can divulge such information? Nonsense. What a pathological lie. The country is hearing that there are 30,000 passports out there. That means 30,000 citizens outside, which is more than half of our population inside. Prime Minister Drew, we are told that you signed 4,000 certificates of registration since coming into office relative to the prison project, and the country needs to know. Stop telling lies, Prime Minister. Your false statement about the Citizenship Investment Unit has the information is being made with the deliberate intent to deceive the people of this country. Your false statement is intended to deceive the people of this country. Yes, we can say, my Straight Talk family, according to Minister Samal and my friend and Senator Dr. Clark, there are 30 to 37,000 monkeys, but how many passports is the question. They said that. Minister Samal said this.
Yes, good morning, and I want to thank you for your question. Now, we recognize that the issue with feral animals would have been a long-standing issue for agriculture in this country. We have at the top of the list in St. Kitts the monkeys and wild pigs, and in Nevis, while they have some bit of those at the top of their list, will also be donkeys. And so the issue isn't an issue that has gone unchecked. However, when you look at it, we have done some research. We've had a consultant in, and we estimate that the population of monkeys has grown tremendously They're anticipating right now from research that there's about over 30,000 on St. Kitts alone.
Well, we're not going to hold you to that figure, but your colleague is somewhat at variance. Dr. Clark, she said this.
I'm happy that the relationship between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Environment as it relates to the management of our invasive alien species, the green monkey, we now have our own subspecies. So previously, it was the green vervet monkey. Currently, it is now the green monkey. We here in St. Kitts and Nevis, our 37,000 monkeys, they're their own subspecies.
There are 30 to 37,000 monkeys, as you have heard, my Straight Talk family. But how many passports is the question we will continue to ask. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I will open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. I want, as usual, in the process, I usually implore you. When I open the lines, which I'll do in a few seconds, I anticipate that you will respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure in the process that we will, in the saying and the things we say and or do, beg your pardon, will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of saying and or doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. Straight Talk is a participative program. The numbers are 869-663-6672. That's the local number. And for those in the diaspora and those overseas, we have a US number 646-829-6672. There are many of you who like the cloak of anonymity. You don't want your voice to be heard. So you get behind your keyboard and you send your emails. I just implore you though, when you send in your emails, you too must be respectful and be cautious, because you just can't say anything or write anything rather, because nobody knows who is writing. We need to respect others as well. So the lines are open. I'll entertain your emails. I have quite a few emails already, but I'll take first your calls, and then we will try to dispense of all our emails, which we normally do. There are quite a lot of emails, as I said. Perhaps I will take this email. Let me go to the lines first of all. Let me take this caller. Caller, you're live.
Good night. You can hear me?
Yes, my dear. I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Okay.
Sounds,
you know I can hear you. Talk the things. Hear you born. Keeping press conference. Nothing was doing and still not doing. No plans, no idea. I just want to tell my best friend is to stay strong. God is with him for all he has done for them. No one more monkey can spoil his show. Why people could make you believe they're for you and so bad. It's not him. Why they cheat them out and was pretending all along. All labor fell alike. It's not his fault why they was not looking out for their voters and vex. Some offers they get now, it won't be better than Timothy. You fish that used to call in and have nothing to say. Can't call in no more. Shame on them. What for the young people? And if them was jumping up and getting 25,000, AG cool out. If I get in, I call back.
sounds like Alice in Wonderland. I haven't heard that voice for a long time. I know they are quite a part of the what I call the Straight Talk population. Don't have access to social media, and we have been, I'm trying to find a word, but we are not, just to be cautious, we are not on Win FM for some reason anymore. We understood that Win FM got a letter from the Attorney General saying they will be part of the defamation case, but that defamation case is gone. The AG has surrendered. He has issued a notice of discontinuance, so I don't know what's happening to Win FM, but we will find some other avenue. But for the meantime, we are on Facebook and on YouTube, so you just share the link, and perhaps like people like Alice in Wonderland, we perhaps will find some smartphones for people like yourselves, and so you can be an integral part of the program. Minister Brand of the NIA reads this email. On Tuesday Let's Talk show on One Radio, you made mention of Akila Byron's resignation from PLP and moving away from Dr. Harris, given the impression that Harris was no good. Mr. Brand, I find to be very devious and hypocritical to be talking about Akila and Harris. But you were silent and dumb when the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams resigned from the CCM and gave a damaging speech about your leader, Premier Brantley, and his dictatorial style of leadership, both in the party CCM and government. And you had absolutely nothing to say, Mr. Brand. But you find it convenient to take your text out on Harris. Why? Because Harris exposed your intriguing plan to construct a hotel in Nevis behind the backs of divisions and the Nevis Integrity Commission while being a city minister. Pick the beam out of your eye first, Brand, or shut up, reads this email. This other email reads, Straight Talk family, that St. Martin woman who called into your show some weeks ago, Patches, and defamed Dr. Harris, she has some dirty skeletons in her closet and have the heart to malign Dr. Harris on radio. Woman, you know you call you by name and who don't call you, my Straight Talk family. You have no shame whatsoever, because what you're accusing Timothy Harris for, you are a bigger one. And I hope by now Harris has already filed a defamation suit against you in the High Court, reads this email. It's now 8 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour, my Stray Dog family. And the lines are open. Again, 663-6672 or 646-829-6672. Our email address is straighttalkpatches, that's one word, STRAIGHTTALK, PATCHES at gmail.com, my Straight Dog family. And both numbers do have our email or access to WhatsApp, beg your pardon. Patches, good night. So, reads this other email. Are you familiar with the doctrine of criminal breach of trust? If not, then please allow me to enlighten you and your listeners. A person being an employer who deducts the employee's contribution from the wages payable to the employee for credit to a social security fund established by any law for the time being in force shall be deemed to have been entrusted with the amount of the contribution so deducted by him, and if he makes default in the payment of such contribution to the said fund in violation of the said law, shall be deemed to have dishonestly used the amount of the said contribution in violation of a direction of law as aforesaid. If the Attorney General can justify staying in office rather than resigning in the face of this doctrine of criminal breach of trust, then sadly, all hope is lost for St. Kitts and Nevis. But how can the St. Kitts Nevis Bar Association accept that its president and one of its members committed criminal breach of trust and yet do absolutely nothing? Reads that email. I'll get quite a lot of emailers, so I'll take the emailers callers if you bear with me. Patches, I heard some politically blinded people on Freedom Radio today trying to defend the Attorney General for the breaking of the law. They said every day we calling in saying that the Attorney General must resign. I want the host and all those who defending the Attorney General in his law-breaking to know that we will continue to call the radio station until he resigns. Two ladies called in to the show today trying to educate the host about how the Attorney General has broken the law, but the host will not listen. He too is arrogant and hard-headed and politically blinded. Not even a little consideration for the nanny. Suppose the nanny had gotten sick and to claim from Social Security, that would have been some problems. My Straight Talk family, it's 12 past 9 o'clock. If you just joined me, our thesis tonight is 30 to 37,000 monkeys. How many passports is the question being asked? And my Straight Talk family, today we looked at that press conference and I found it rather pathetic, my Straight Talk family. And as I said earlier, and this is just for those who may have just joined me and missed it. My Straight Talk family, as I said, the embattled Attorney General continues to dominate the airwaves. But a question was asked of Prime Minister Jude today at his press conference, and the response was, to put it mildly, unbelievable. But let's go back to the lines, my Straight Talk family, and say goodnight to this caller. You're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Dr. Ian Patches Libod.
Your humble servant is here, my lord.
Yeah, I'm humble behind you too, man. I'm humble behind you. You couldn't help but play me one of my favorite here with Born in Spear.
You know that song?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Monkey Hill Dr. Joe is a damn blatant liar. Those are some of my words I changed. That is, now let me say something here, brother. We cannot expect anything better from a certain radio station in St. Kitts, because we know how that radio station come about. And like I always say, what start wrong cannot end right. So, me for one, I don't expect anything better. Sometime last week, by chance I was searching for a good radio station to pick up something, to pick up information. And I heard Kunumuno man talking about you, saying that the junction in court ain't mean Social Security. I said, when they feel know what the junction is all about. The junction was to try and muzzle you from talking. And when somebody's mouth has been muzzled, That muzzle means they cannot say nothing absolutely because their mouth shut down. That is the meaning of muzzle. So he come like he know what muzzle mean. Even though he like to say he went Oxford University. You know for he. Now you hear what that pathological lawyer call himself the leader of the country. When he asks about the passport them, he could never have the information there. He gonna get the information. He gonna get it. How long he gonna get it? He in there now how many months? What, 7 months? And he can't have the information every time he has a press conference. He ducking and bob and weaving. That is to show all the listeners and viewers and the TV and whatnot that he realized that he criticized the Team Unity administration when they were in about the same thing that he is hiding from the public. But we ain't gonna stop talk until we get the facts. Because a lot of them, they will do anything possible to see if they could shut down Patch's program because they know Patches is the only opposition to them there. Patches and his program is the opposition. Otherwise, nobody is there to attack them. Because the legal opposition, they have no leader. There was a leader of the opposition, and the leader now, his head is in a political opportunist coma. So the body cannot go anywhere because the head leads the body. Look where he is as a leader of the opposition. He already hugging up the leader of the Labour Party, which is the government, Joe. Hugging up Joe and holding up on Joe pants. Now opposition have no right there. The leader ain't have no right over there. He's supposed to be there with the other two opposition members. So them today now ain't got no head. And people can't see that who's supporting he and his stupidness and he condoning this, what he doing. Before he tell the AG, you are wrong, you have broken the law, not once, not twice, 3 times. You broken the law and you deliberately broke the law, so therefore you have to step down. Step down, otherwise they're going to turn you away. He ain't doing it. He encouraging him by not telling him he wrong. How in the world a person could take out an employee social security money in advance? Mm-hmm. They don't if the worker run we go and they ain't work. So that's another big lie again coming from the Attorney General. But we ain't gonna hush. People like Alice jammed on me, Maisie and Frederick and Aya and Nabo. We ain't gonna hush. Because we ain't coward, we ain't afraid nobody. We talking the truth. And we have to sleep at night and we want our conscience to be clear. Patches will come back.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. Let's go back to the lines. Let's go back to the lines. It's 9:18. Call you live.
Hi, I'm back. Mr. Libert, they got all kind of things to say about you and the best Prime Minister. What better they can get? We will wait and see. None of them can walk in you and the best Prime Minister's shoe and could never do what you all has done. Never mind the cheat to get you all out. Why balling now? And the hospital will build the same spot. And all his police with all of them. He treats them so good. If they want to be bad like the rest, they have a conscience. What they will say, they will say. Look at the spoiled pear and white elephant. What they're claiming now, never good. And Mr. Grant Boat. 2 weeks from now will be my birthday. Put up everything. Best Prime Minister, you was there before them, all of them. They don't know more than you. Don't take no nonsense from them in the House Assembly. Too big and bad. Speaker and one song. Some Prime Minister was with the central bank manager. Did they take them around and see how dirty the town is? Come people, get back with Timothy. He's not worse than nobody else. You all see what's going on. I am nobody problem. Culture, have a good weekend. And you too, have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Just like to make a state and the gongs was that issue where the Virgin trying to emphasize that is a personal matter. The Virgin, if it is a personal matter, is something that deals with the legality of the law, you know. So what you're trying to cover, because whether the Prime Minister make a statement on it or not, he breaks the law. That's the full concept. What you're trying to make it look like we want to chat about political issue. We got to be frank. The Virgin have done something wrong. He ever admit, what you're telling me, he in this driving seat, we could go and put legislation still on people, you're telling me that's right? But you got to be sick on you, in a wicked system I got on you. That's why you people must wise up. Wise up meaning educate yourself properly about what wickedness the system is making about our people, right? Because if you continue, even they just said the ambushman in there now. Can we go to the ambushman and indicate that challenge towards what has gone done to what the AG pursue in his ground as a professional person to say he didn't pay Social Security for them period of time? We gotta be wondering what is really the justice system we're calling on. That's why I not trust higher system, you know. But it's telling now we educate people about that system. Because we have to move away from that. We're really ready to change the constitution and the things that y'all went on and campaign about. So we're challenging the Prime Minister and Dr. James Douglas and the other members of that Labour Party. Come out and speak the words. His voice is for the working people. Blessed love.
Yes, my Straight Dog family, it's 22 past 9 o'clock hour. This email reads, Patches, the government was not obligated to pay Social Security on behalf of the persons on the peace program. The Prime Minister continues to perpetrate that deliberate lie. The young men were given a grant and not a wage. According to the Social Security Act, only when wages are paid, the employees are obligated to pay Social Security on behalf of the employees. The persons are not employees of the government. The PM should be advised to desist from repeating that lie. But that's the PM himself. You know, he just has this propensity to lie. I just don't know. I just don't know why. My Straight Dog family. This other email reads that Patches, reading the resignation letters of those PLP executive members sound like people who drop out of school. Is it any wonder prior to the last election, people were crying out, Lord Harris? Harris, where you find them there? They look like people picked up off the streets. Better if you did bring pinders, reads this email. My Straight Dog family, you may have just joined me. Tonight, we are looking at the thesis, 30 to 37,000 monkeys, but how many passports? And we reflected on the passports in particular today because our Prime Minister, Dr. Jew, failed to respond to a question. He failed to respond to a question which was first asked to him in November, some 4 or 5 months ago. He just keeps dodging these questions. And he's not a good dodger because he plats up his words and, you know, sometimes sounds so babbled. You know, I can't find a good description for it. But at times, I tell you, I myself, I'm embarrassed when I hear the Prime Minister making these comments. When asked a question about the passports, I'm trying to find that question, and that question was asked since November, and this came from the Observer newspaper.
Good morning, Lusher and Dixon. St. Kitts Nevis Observer. Mr. Prime Minister, when you first got elected, you promised that your admin would implement principles of good governance, integrity in public life, transparency, and accountability. Since November, the Observer has been asking about the number of passports issued to date under the CBI program and the certificates of registration you signed since taking office. We have been informed that over 30,000 passports have been sold under the CPI in total. This will concern the population of 55,000 here in St. Kitts and Nevis. What is your response to these claims?
And this was his response.
Right. Thank you very much for your questions. As you know, with respect to the CBI, and you have mentioned some numbers, you would have been paying attention to the fact that the CBI has gone through significant changes with respect to the legislation that governs it, and also, or at least, I would say, the regulations. And at least you would have also recognized that that was in transformation. The other thing that you would recognize is that there was a change in the leadership and CEO at the Citizenship by Investment Unit. And one would expect that while you're in transition, changing laws, regulations, and so forth, that of course would have its own delay in certain things. And so now you have a CEO there in place, and you as a member of the media, a member of the public, now have the opportunity to really approach and seek as a journalist the answers to the questions.
What a blatant lie. Caller, are you there? Are you there, caller? Let me see. Yes, caller, are you there?
Hi, Patrick, how are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I'm good. Yeah. I'm on the air?
Yes, you're live. You're live, my dear.
Oh, okay. Yesterday, the ombudsman was on a radio station, and he was talking, and at least he said that he didn't vote because he had to go. He went away. And so he didn't vote, and as a matter of fact, he speak the truth because he said he went to the registration office to remove his name from the voters list because he's not going to vote. So if he's not going to vote, that means he have no interest in the country. So it leaves to them now to get him off from ombudsman or keep him because at least he talked the truth. So they don't have to. He himself talked the truth. He said he's not going to vote. And he went to take his name off the registration, the voters list. So it left to them. That means he have no interest in the country. So the ombudsman, I don't know what to say. Anyway, you take care.
Thank you very much. Someone sent me that audio soundbite today. I didn't quite understand it, but why would he make that comment? Who knows? But the ombudsman should be the mediator, or I think mediator is the right term, yes, and he should make, in terms of issues, not just for government related matters, but I believe it would include all matters. And we hope that one works. That's the most we can say, my Straight Talk family. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Yes, good night, and how it go?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
I am not too bad. I'm on the doctor's care right now. I broke my adversary backbone.
You broke what?
My backbone.
Backbone?
Yes.
That sounds serious, cuz. That sounds serious, cuz.
Yes, it is. I'm on the heavy medication right now.
Oh my.
I'm on the heavy medication. But anyway, Monday night I hear you ask someone to retract something. Did they?
Yes, he did. He did. Oh, no, the lady. No, sorry, no.
The lady,
No,
yes. The
no,
lady.
she has not to date that I am aware of. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'd expect
okay.
common sense to prevail.
I don't think she going to respect it because she said that you all are not company because at one time she was working somewhere and you some man, I can't tell you the name, but some man, and you was she gave you a complaint and you didn't give her a good answer. So I don't think she will do that.
Well,
anyway, that is how we do. It is, but just let me turn down me. Okay. Yes, so I'm here.
So you're moving around?
But, no. Huh?
Are you moving around with that?
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, can
yes, I'm trying to. I'm trying to.
Okay.
I'm supposed to go to a bone doctor, but then I ain't get. Here up here is a referral for this and a referral for that. So I'm waiting still to get that referral. My main doctor sent me they send the referral, but they ain't get it yet.
Well, I trust it's not too serious and you'll recover quickly.
Well, you know how it is when you have too much sugar in your blood.
Uh-huh.
You have to be careful because you have to get it healed. So it can take a longer time. They tell me it will heal, but it will take a longer time.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, nice to hear nonetheless, and I know you're a good soldier, so if so.
Yes.
Good to hear you.
Anyway, so I'll talk to you some other time. It's not that I'm not really talking, but 3 weeks now. This happened 3 Mondays back.
Okay, well, good to hear nonetheless, and I trust you'll have a full and speedy recovery.
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina, right?
I did. Yes, South Carolina.
South Carolina in the house. Nice to hear, my dear.
Okay then, thank you.
Have a good night. Be good. Be well. Yes, my Straight Dog family. It was no surprise to me read this email that Akila's resignation was imminent based on what her uncle-in-law Sam Conda was saying on the Groundless Friday afternoon Papi Show program. It was markedly clear that he had prior knowledge of these resignations predicated on his utterance on the Papi Show program. Anyone with common sense would easily realize and detect that these letters were orchestrated and drafted by one man who had the capacity of getting these individuals to affix their signatures to. The letters virtually carried the same language, which made them very tasteless. Sam's letter of resignation in 2015 were worded exactly the same. Coupled with his utterances on Freedom Radio, it is quite clear now who is the ghost writer of these resignations. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live.
Okay, Patches, I am back here, Patches.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to hear about our lady soldier there in the States.
Yes.
Take it easy, darling. You're going to get better. They got the exports up there. Even though this man down here who leading the country say every ministry got the exports. Now, you see how dangerous the man there Jew is? He ain't telling what he named Mr. Wilkin that he wrong with what he do to the nanny social security. He ain't telling him that. But he went after the fellows them who getting the peace money and said that why he say he gonna do with it, he gonna stop it because they ain't paying no social security out of it. When he never afraid the word social security choke him because he condoning the wrong what the Attorney General did to the nanny with the same social security money. 3 times he went to pay. Why he holding it back and pay 3 times? And up to now, everybody Tom, Dick and Harry, everybody calling on him. A lot of people not calling in on the radio because they're afraid. And everybody on the side, those who are not calling in, they're on the side walk, saying that he need to step down at Tunway. And instead of that, the Attorney General could boast and say he got his team behind him. His team supporting him. Well, he ain't on a team, he got one man. Even the one man is an army. And the one man who got him there supporting him is Joe. Because he and Joe alike. Now this hospital, what you want to go talk about smart hospital. What smart hospital? What smart hospital? Anything smarter than Joseph in France? All he has to do, go to the back and go up another floor on the top. And that you have more room, more than room to do what you want in there. But the smart hospital, why you want to go build down there? It might be his smart hospital, might be his smart hospital. Where you want to go build a hospital? And look where he going to build it. Look where he going to. What happened to over Gateway? And St. Paul's, if you really want to go build a 4th hospital, what happened to the distance between Gateway and St. Paul's? Gateway people and Parson got to go far to reach a hospital. Look how close down by Ross is to Joseph and France and Sandy Point. But I agree with what I have said about them. He criticized a lot of things when he was in opposition that Team Unity were doing. And he's going to be a government of transparency. Really transparency about the 3,000 passports. Where is that, Joe? Stop telling lies. And come to the monkey now. The person said we have what? How much monkey? 37 something monkey?
37,000.
Yeah, 37,001. One big corner monkey to start the other 38,000. Let somebody is coming again, Bono.
Thank you very much, my dear brother. It was this email. Let's just dispose of my emails while I have time. Good evening, Mr. Liebert. Confession is good for the soul. The PM, like Garth, he has the audacity to say, well, not paying is okay. Just say you were busy and forget it. And forgot, sorry. He is lie. It is Dougie, not Timo, who did the haircut. He will not tell us how many certificates of registration he has signed. Patches, I see the IMF in the future for our country. Good night. Reads this email. This other email reads, Lawyer Azad Gums, I was very disappointed and embarrassed with the statement you made Thursday morning to Peter Wickham. In your joyful mood, you said to Mr. Wickham and all who were listening that all of them, meaning the PLP members, were saying the same thing, why they resigned. Now, Azad, I believe you're a lawyer and you would know in court that if there are 6 witnesses to an incident, and if all of them are saying the exact same thing like a recitation, the court will rule that the evidence is inadmissible. Likewise, this PLP resignation case, all of them are inadmissible. Caller, thank you for holding. You're live. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Caller.
Yeah, Patrick, good night.
Yes, my brother. Turn your equipment or your equipment down. Can you move away? Can you?
Patrick.
Yes.
Patrick, you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you, but I'm hearing that equipment behind me as well.
Yes, Patrick. Yeah. You remember when the Team Unity was in government? You had a set of cases concerning the Boundaries Committee and the electoral reform. One common enumeration for the extra 2 seats, Patrick,
Well, a new administration is in, and they will have to look at it.
Yeah, but you had some court matters in a bylaw.
Or the court matters. I'm not aware of the exact.
Yes, you remember a book, a document was given to all the Team Unity members concerning the boundary reform to make all the constituencies equal. You remember? A blue booklet with the numeration, how it's supposed to go.
Yeah,
all the parliamentarians them to get a document during a parliament at time. Because I hear the parliament speak on it.
Well, I'm not quite certain what you're referring to. I'm vaguely, but what I'm saying is that now with this new administration, there's a boundaries. What is this called? Electoral Boundaries Commission, which is a committee which is comprised of 2 members nominated by the opposition and 2 members nominated by the government, and the chairman nominated by the Governor General. I think that's how it's normally done. So in the past, it makes a difference. You'll have to appoint some new commission right now.
Yeah, because Patrick is a big talk around saying that 3 seats have to create because some of the constituencies them is too large. 2 in St. Kitts and 1 in Nevis. So it looks to me like people trying to play a farm game around that. And that is the problem. And it got to happen. Well, Patrick, I want to tell you, that the talk on the road concerning how things is going in Sinky to poor people is only nice. If man not can't do the job, they better just walk away from it. Anyway, Patrick, good night and keep coming to the people.
Okay, my brother. Thanks a lot. I do apologize for that. The quality of that call there. I was trying to get Jam down to move away from his equipment, as he probably was not hearing me. Patches, good evening. Reads this email. I'm here to let you know that I was reliably informed that Congress went to the ICT Center on Tuesday because he was celebrating World Water Week and the schools had a function there. Well, Patches, he walked the entire building like he wanted to be seen, and no one there acknowledged him nor even said good morning to him. Let Congress know that the staff said no matter how he walked and smiled, they don't want to see him until he gathered the courage to let his aunt go. Until then, they don't want to hear nor see him. Reads this email. This other email reads, Patches, is the Prime Minister from Mars? Whenever he's asked a question, he babbles and have nothing of substance to say. As a Labour supporter, I am ashamed of his immaturity. Whenever he is asked a question, he talks about the former government. Dr. Joe, we did not vote for the former government. We voted for you to tell us what you plan to do, because for the last 8 months, you have given us nothing. Dr. Joe, St. Kitts people not foolish. Stop telling us about Development Bank and tell us how you will get money in the pockets of people and get down these murders. Reads this email. This other email, I'm trying to dispose of the emails. Patches, I realize Dr. Joe condoning some real nonsense. He sounds so foolish as he attempted to justify Garth Wilkins' criminality today at his Mickey Mouse press conference. I am a civil servant, and I understand they are planning to get rid of me. I can't wait, because when they get rid of me, I will come from behind this cloak of anonymity, and I will be the first to start some serious public protests on Church Street against the wickedness going on in this country by this vindictive Jew government. But I think I am going to stop listening to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister's press conference, beg your pardon, and when he's on the radio. The Prime Minister is telling the country too much lies. I wonder how those Labour Party supporters feel about this, for he's lying to them too. Before the reporter asks his question today, he mentioned that since last year, November, these questions have been asked. And when the reporter asked him the questions again, it was the same lies again and again. Why is the Prime Minister don't want us to know how many passports he has signed off on? All the people of this country should demand that he tell us it's our passports, reads this or other email. I agree with the emailer, reads this other message. If you read the email of the resignation candidates, they were all copied and pasted, lol. God knows what he's doing. All who want to leave, they can freely do so, because Asafan and Conda are back talking the Labour government, and they too are free to do so. Our country is in the wrong hands. We have a Prime Minister who has no straight answer when it comes to the monkey business. So wicked decisions here are clean ground for monkey to run on. Patches, things are going to happen in St. Kitts Nevis that many will hold their heads and bawl, reads this email. And my Straight Talk family, it's 13 before the 10 o'clock hour. Tonight we looked at our thesis entitled 30 to 37 monkeys, but how many passports? And it was in response to a question when the Prime Minister had this to say.
That you seek, so you can get those specific ones. As I told you, that will be available, and so that you can ask those relevant questions. Right. Thank you very much for your questions. As you know, with respect to the CBI, and you have mentioned some numbers, you would have been paying attention to the fact that the CBI has gone through significant changes with respect to the legislation that governs it, and also, or at least, I would say, the regulations. And at least you would have also recognized that that was in transformation. The other thing that you would recognize is that there was a change in the leadership and CEO at the Citizenship by Investment Unit. And one would expect that while you're in transition, changing laws, regulations, and so forth, that of course would have its own delay in certain things. And so now you have a CEO there in place, and you as a member of the media, a member of the public, now have the opportunity to really approach and seek as a journalist the answers to the questions that you seek. So you can get those specific ones. As I told you, that will be available, and so that you can ask those relevant questions.
My Straight Talk family, Prime Minister Joe is the minister with responsibility for citizenship. Prime Minister Joe is the minister with responsibility for immigration. Prime Minister Joe is minister with responsibility for national security. And he has a constitutional obligation to generally manage and control all the departments within his portfolio. Well, my Straight Talk family, the lies coming from Prime Minister Joe have become a regular thing. They have in the process become extremely distasteful and are so unpredictable that I just cannot use any diplomatic language any longer. Because, as I like to say, and I'll say again, the Prime Minister, as my grandmother used to say, he just lies like when a horse is trotting. His line ways remind me, I should say, of that song by Burning Spear, which I played earlier tonight. And I am certain, my Straight Dog family, that the Prime Minister, who claims he loves reggae, he must know this song. But this is the only way to describe the performance of the Prime Minister, having listened to his press conference earlier today.
I ain't die whole I know. I ain't die whole I say. I ain't die reap and see them. I ain't die see up with the gap. Christopher Colombo, Caesar. Jam plastic lion. Christopher Colombo, Caesar. Jam plastic lion. And yes, Jack. He's a liar.
My Straight Dog family, that's the only way I can describe it. This email reads, my Straight Dog family, hello, Ian Patches. You have been around this politics business for a very long time here in the Federation. In your experience, have you ever witnessed a worse member of Parliament than Akila Byron Nisbet? I don't mean to be unkind to her, but Akila always came across as a clueless clown when she was an elected representative, reads this email. My Straight Dog family, I hesitate to comment on the PLP issues in terms of these resignations. But I will go on record as saying, I believe when we reflect on elections going back to adult suffrage in 1952 or 53, I think it's 52, right? And we look at the candidates for parties, I believe that the PLP slate was one of the worst, if not the worst slate that was ever presented to the electorate in St. Kitts. I hesitated somewhat, but I just had to clear my mind on that one. It was one of the weakest slates ever presented to St. Kitts. But there are challenges, and where there are challenges, you find opportunities. And I read an article by someone about the detoxification. I can't remember the actual title. And it was so on point. When Labour had its issues, PAM has its issues, and now it seems to be PLP's time. But I'm sure that many would predict that under the leadership of Timothy Harris, a seasoned politician, no matter what we may want to say about him, I mean, 30 years in the business and 30 years being elected, just like Douglas, it's not a mean feat. But in time, we will tell, my Straight Dog family. But getting back to the passports and getting back to the lies of Jew. Why he does not want to release this information? It baffles me. Why he tells lies about the information being at the CIU? Well, he must do his job. He has to manage and control his departments that he assigned to himself. And that's a constitutional obligation. Jew cannot deny, as I said before, he cannot deny that the Canadian banknote generates and sends a report to national security every single month of the year. This is their contractual obligations. National security has online access to Canadian banknote, who we pay as a government millions of dollars each year as per the existing contract. Prime Minister Drew must therefore stop lying that he doesn't know. He must know. He ought to know. He's the Minister of National Security. Don't pass the buck to nobody else and stop telling lies. He has to stop telling lies and act like a matured leader. It is just so Douglas used to tell a lot of lies too, and it's all found out. But we know, even the SKNIS report, if you check SKNIS archives, go and look into the archives of the SKNIS and look for their release dated 10th December 2014. And it reads like this, and I quote, "Trusted supplier of secure travel documents and issuing systems, the Canadian Banknote CBN Company has assured that the quality of the St. Kitts and Nevis passports will continue to meet the highest international standards. CBN, which has been collaborating with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis since 2005, is the company hired by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as 11 of the 15 CARICOM member states, to produce their passports. CBN's business development manager Andrew Pop guaranteed that St. Kitts and Nevis passport was on par with travel documents." The CBN has been producing our passports since 2005. So why is Drew telling so many lies about not having the information? He must have the information. He ought to have the information because he's a minister and must show some responsibility and must account for his stewardship as the Minister of National Security. If 30,000 passports are out there, tell us. If there are only 20,000 passports out there, tell us. The country needs to know. Why shouldn't the country know that there are 20,000 citizens out there that came to the CBI? What happens if the geopolitics in the region in which they now exist, what happens if the geopolitical situation changes? Would they all come to St. Kitts? We hear that Palestinians, for example, are homeless. Would they make St. Kitts our home? Who knows? What happens? Would all those Russians with passports come to St. Kitts? We have seen the Chinese coming already. Would the Russians come? These are pertinent questions that must be asked. And we must get answers from them, my Straight Talk family. and again, the Attorney General. As I wind down tonight's programming, I cannot, it would be an oversight if I did not mention the Attorney General and his breaking of the law. He's gone to Washington, but he has to come back to St. Kitts. He has to come back to St. Kitts to face the music. And no matter how long he stays away, my Straight Talk family, he has to come back because of this.
Matter concerning the AG, the reason why it's not going away, you have to recognize that Mr. Wilkin was the president of the Bar Association. Mr. Wilkin is now the Attorney General. Our Prime Minister is the Minister of Social Security, which is very big with the government, as you know. Government has a major say in Social Security. These are the things that are hampering, in addition to the report. I read the report or the judgment from the court, and the judgment is very damning for somebody of that caliber, and that is why it is creating a problem in people's minds, and those of us who decide to speak on it, because we have guts, that is those are the reasons why you see it's creating a problem. So let us don't run away from it. I don't know what the final decision will be from a government standpoint, but it doesn't look good, because you have to recognize every time Mr. Wilkin will try to address matters going forward, even legitimately, this is going to dog him. It's like when somebody knows something about you and it's not good. Every time, they see you and you try to say something about another matter, they'll talk about you. It's the same thing. And in our society, that is very commonplace. So it's going to be a very tough one for the next 5 years.
Yes. It's going to dog him. Damning report. Patches, after the press conference today, the ministers were asked to give closing statements. And I listened to them, and it was clear that they don't know what they are doing and saying. All the programs in this country were working. They stopped them, changed them, and now everything is in a mess. Agriculture, STEP, and PAP, just name a few. All of them need to resign and give up the government and let capable people run the country. Not a bad suggestion whatsoever. Good night, Mr. Patches. The Attorney General Garth Lucian Wilkin should resign if there is any decency left in him. If others are being prosecuted for the same Social Security offenses, he too should be added to the number. He is not entitled to a free pass. Dr. Joe is truly a highly accomplished liar. He's been asked a simple question: how many passports did he sign off on? However, it appears he is mentally challenged and has no understanding. Dr. Joe, listen to the question that is asked and answer. You owe the people of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis an answer. I have two 14-year-old twin boys who will make a better prime minister than Dr. Joe. Dr. Joe sounds like a third grader when he speaks. So shameful. Mrs. Patches, keep pressing on. Keep up the pressure on the AG and that man who calls himself prime minister. Good job, Mr. Patches. We are with you all the way. Read this email. And I'll make this my final email. Patches, at the Bar Association annual general meeting on Thursday, 23rd March 2023, the following lawyers were elected: Colin Merchant, President; Sherry-Ann Liebert Charles, Vice President; Lisa Hazel Claxton, Treasurer; Rhonda Nisbet Brown, Ordinary Member; Taliba Byron, Ordinary Member; Tashna Paul Williams, Ordinary Member; Dane Victor Elliott Hamilton, Ordinary Member; Kerry-Ann Amrit, Ordinary Member; Denise Aline, Ordinary Member; and Violet Williams, Ordinary Member. I am very disappointed that the Bar Association, under the leadership of Ms. Colleen Merchant, has remained silent on the damning issue concerning A.G. Garth Wilkin, who did not pay his nanny's Social Security contributions on time. I hope new member, Ms. Denise Aline, who is a woman of integrity, will not stifle her conscience and speak out against what Garth Wilkin did. Reads this email. As we wind down tonight's programming, my Straight Talk family, my lines are going. I'll take this call if you can use 30 seconds, caller. Can you use 30 seconds? Can you use 30 seconds, caller?
Yeah, I can use 30 seconds, Patrice.
Please.
Patrice, let me tell the listening audience this. That Boko Haram man from Monkey Hill, he got the whole nation as fools. Like when I was a little boy, them cane cutters used to ask me to pick start meat for the cattle every afternoon. And when Christmas come, they're going to give me a... And other always asking him for me sheep egg. And one day his wife tell him, man, stop fooling human child. They ain't got no name sheep egg. So that is what you're doing to the whole nation. You think people's foolish. So he's fooling people every time they got it. And they ask him a question, he bob and weaving. Well, anyway, those 3 or 4 persons who resigned from PLP, they was never genuine. They was only in there looking money. But for time's sake, you say 30 seconds, so you might have to take another call. So let me move out until next week. Have a good night, Patrice.
Have a good night as well. And that's gonna be my final call of the night. But as we wind down tonight, my Straight Talk family, there's no if or but or doubt that having listened to our Prime Minister at his press conferences over the last 8 months, it's not difficult to conclude that Prime Minister Drew has this propensity to lie. And he did so this morning, just like a horse was trotting, as my grandmother would say. And we prove that tonight. Listen to this question he was asked this morning.
Good morning, Lushan Dixon, St. Kitts Nevis Observer. Mr. Prime Minister, when you first got elected, you promised that your admin would implement principles of good governance, integrity in public life, transparency, and accountability. Since November, the Observer had been asking about the number of passports issued to date under the CBI program and the certificates of registration you signed since taking office. We have been informed that over 30,000 passports have been sold under the CPI in total. This will concern the population of 55,000 here in St. Kitts and Nevis. What is your response to these claims?
Very searching question. And this was the response from a Prime Minister who continues to be economic with the truth, to use diplomatic language once again.
Right. Thank you very much for your questions. As you know, with respect to the CBI, and you have mentioned some numbers, you would have been paying attention to the fact that the CBI has gone through significant changes with respect to the legislation that governs it, and also, or at least, I would say, the regulations. And at least you would have also recognized that that was in transformation. The other thing that you would recognize is that there was a change in the leadership and CEO at the Citizenship by Investment Unit. And one would expect that while you're in transition, changing laws, regulations, and so forth, that of course would have its own delay in certain things. And so now you have a CEO there in place, and you as a member of the media, a member of the public, now have the opportunity to really approach and seek as a journalist the answers to the questions that you seek, so you can get those specific ones. As I told you, that will be available, and so that you can ask those relevant questions.
Imagine that cock and bull answer to a simple question has been asked since November of 2022. How many passports have been sold under the CBI program? How many passports or how many certificates of registration have you signed since coming to office, Prime Minister Drew? You said the crime had an unsustainable method, but you lost sight of the fact that under your leadership, since coming to office, there have been 15 homicides because you're not looking at it. But you know, Prime Minister Joe, if you didn't know before, Ian Patches Liberd, I'm telling you tonight, the Canadian banknote, CBN, manages our passports. It prints them and manages the movements of our passport. As a matter of fact, you cannot deny that, Prime Minister Drew. When next you go on your special interviews or on the radio, tell the country about the Canadian banknote that sends a report to the Ministry of National Security, which you must see. It sends a report every single month. Your ministry has online access to the CBN, who the government pays millions of dollars each year. Prime Minister Joe, please, therefore stop lying. Because if Minister Samal can tell us there are 30,000 monkeys in St. Kitts, yes, he did. He said this.
Yes, good morning. And I want to thank you for your question. Now, we recognize that the issue with feral animals would have been a long-standing issue for agriculture in this country. We have at the top of the list in St. Kitts the monkeys and wild pigs. And in Nevis, while they have some bit of those at the top of their list, will also be donkeys. And so the issue isn't an issue that has gone unchecked. However, when you look at it, we have done some research. We've had a consultant in, and we estimate that the population of monkeys has grown tremendously. They're anticipating right now from research that there's about over 30,000 on St. Kitts alone.
Yes. Although my dear friend and senator, Dr. Joya Clark, has some variance. She said this, beg your pardon.
I'm happy that the relationship between the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Environment as it relates to the management of our invasive alien species, the green monkey, we now have our own subspecies. So previously, it was the green vervet monkey. Currently, it is now the green monkey. We here in St. Kitts and Nevis, our 37,000 monkeys, they're their own subspecies.
37 monkeys. Then as Minister of National Security, you are the custodian of the passport figures, Prime Minister Joe. The country is hearing that there are 30,000 passports out there. That means 30,000 citizens outside, which is more than half of the population inside. Prime Minister, we are told that you signed 4,000 certificates of registration since coming into office, all related to the prison project. And the country needs to know. Stop telling the lies, Prime Minister. Your false statement about the CIU is being made with the deliberate intent to deceive the people of this country. And yes, we know you all are experts. Congress said you all are specialists.
It is a privilege to sit in this cabinet and listen to my colleagues, because it is clear we have specialists across all sectors of the government. And so when they speak, when we speak, people can have confidence that we know what we are talking about.
So when you speak with authority. Yes, we can say my straight dog family, according to Minister Samal and my friend and Senator Joya Clark, there are 30 to 37,000 monkeys. But how many passports is the question we continue to ask Prime Minister Joe. That's my story tonight, and I'm not going to change it. My time is done, and I'm going to run. Until we connect on Monday, yes, Monday, for another edition of Straight Talk, have yourselves, my Straight Talk family, a wonderful weekend. Be good to all whom you meet. Do your chores. Go to church. Spend some time praising God and giving Him thanks for His mercies. Remember, whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday, have yourselves a wonderful weekend.